Hey guitar playing champions, if you want to build your legato technique on guitar, make it faster, get it cleaner, and build endurance so your fingers don't get tired when doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, then check out these 7 legato secrets. It all starts with how you think about legato, because how you think about it affects your potential to build speed on guitar using legato. So then we'll talk about matching your legato articulation to your picking articulation. That's a key aspect of training legato. Next, I'll teach you my Pick-Legato-Cover training cycle. Then we'll explore how to build faster legato speeds. The next secret is my pull-off snap technique. Then we'll talk about how to build endurance so your fingers don't fatigue when playing a lot of legato. And finally, I'll show you what to do if you feel stuck at any point along the way. So grab your guitar and let's go. Secret number 1, how you think about legato determines your potential to play legato on guitar fast. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to stop gripping the guitar. So when you think about legato, a lot of times what guitar players do is they really squeeze the guitar. They think that the thumb has to help the finger, especially with pull-offs. They start squeezing. You don't want to squeeze. The thumb has only one job to do, and that's it. Its only job is to prevent the guitar from going backwards every time the fingers push down. It's just a backstop. It prevents the guitar neck from going that way. If you're trying to push this way with the thumb as you're doing legato, trying to squeeze, it's going to be very difficult to play fast. It's not impossible, but it will be harder, and you'll start getting fatigued because you just start gripping further and further. So stop gripping the guitar. The thumb's only job is to prevent the guitar from going back. That's it. If it's doing anything more than that when playing legato, you're probably going to find it's going to be harder. Secret number 2, our goal is to match your legato articulation to your picking articulation the best we can. That's the goal. So I'm going to play a little exercise for you, and I want you to try it too on your guitar. And it's just a 4-note repeating pattern. It goes like this. And we're going to pick all the notes. Now I'm actually sweeping through them. I'm playing down, up, then up again. It's a sweep pick. And then we're going to do down here on the 4th note. When we repeat, we're going to go from down here back to down here. So that's the picking pattern. So you can hear every note is being articulated. The articulation's pretty strong. That is going to be our goal for when we start doing legato. Now, you won't get the articulation quite that strong, but we want to get the legato articulation as strong as we can to the picking legato. That's the goal. We won't reach it totally, but we want to get close. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert some pull-offs into our little lick here. So we're going to do downstroke, and then a pull-off, then an upstroke here, and then a pull-off here. And we want those pull-off notes to be strong. That's pretty strong, right? We don't want this. That's too weak. So we want a strong articulated pull-off, but we don't want to squeeze the guitar. Don't squeeze, okay? Okay, and I'll show you a little bit later in this video on how I'm getting the articulation to be strong without squeezing. Okay, it's called the snap technique. We'll talk about that a little later, but for now, just do the downstroke, pull off, up, pull off, and try and get those articulations to be strong. And again, I'll go into some detail a little bit later on this video to show you exactly what I'm doing and how we're getting there. All right, in this next example, we're going to play the same group of 4 notes again, but this time we're going to take our picking hand. We're going to cover the guitar neck right here. We're just going to hold, we're just muting the strings. I'm not doing anything fancy here, just muting everything, okay? Then we're going to take our fretting hand and we're going to play these 4 notes. And we want that articulation, again, to be strong. We don't want this. We don't want wimpy, right? We want strong. Now, when you're doing that, again, I remind you, don't squeeze. Don't squeeze the guitar. It will make it harder to build the speed, and it will make your fingers your hand get tired pretty quickly. All right? So we're looking to move the fingers fast, but we're not squeezing. Now, what is that? When I say move the fingers fast, I don't mean play fast. I don't mean play the notes in short succession, okay? Now, I did play it a little bit quick earlier, but what I mean when I say fast is this. Once you make the decision for the fretting hand to play a note, it moves quickly, okay? Now, when I make the decision to do a pull-off, the finger moves quickly. But those two notes were pretty far apart, right? So I played slowly in terms of how frequently a new note occurred. That was slow. But my fingers moved fast. Once you do a hammer-on, the finger's pretty quick. I mean, I could do it faster, but it's pretty quick. So this is not when I say fast, this is not what I mean. I don't mean make the notes short, fast in that sense. I just mean the fingers move quickly, okay? That's what we're looking for. Cover the strings. When the finger comes down, you move it fast. Each finger movement occurs fast. All right, secret number 4 to building raw legato speed on the guitar is you want to be really warmed up before you start doing some heavy legato practicing and training, okay? Really warm up. Now, if you want some really great exercises, ways to warm up on the guitar, I've got a cool video on YouTube. It's called Guitar Warm-Up Exercises, Step-by-Step Tutorial. Check out my free video on YouTube on guitar warm-up exercises. It will help you a lot to prepare your hands for the faster legato. Now, the next key here to building legato technique after being really warmed up and moving the fingers fast and doing everything we've talked about so far is you want to stop practicing before the hand fatigues. Now, sometimes when you're trying to improve endurance and you're trying to push the endurance a little farther, you might practice when, beyond the point where you're feeling tired. But when we're just trying to build speed, not endurance, don't practice when your fingers are tired. Stop the legato playing before you fatigue. Go play something else that doesn't require legato, so it's a little easier, and then come back and do legato again when your hands have sort of recovered. Now, the next secret, number 5, which I alluded to earlier, is the pull-off snapping technique. It's just a fancy name, or not really that fancy, for the technique that I'm using, okay? And many people use the same technique. I just created the term, not the technique itself. So this snapping, imagine you're going to snap your fingers, okay? And you go like this. Now, when you do that, you're using speed, not power, to make this sound, okay? You get the fingers to snap because when the thumb moves off the middle finger, it does so very quickly. Now, if you use a lot of power but not speed, the thumb just does this and it doesn't make a noise, right? You don't hear anything. It's just grinding on the third finger until it moves off it, but we're not really getting the note to pop. That analogy is exactly the same as what we want to do when we do pull-offs, okay? You want your finger to kind of snap off the string. We don't want to pull the string, right? We don't want to drag the string with us this way as we do the pull-off. We don't want to do that. We don't want to grip the guitar, as I said many times already. We just want to decide that when this finger moves, we're just going to snap it. It's just going to move fast, okay? And again, don't confuse the fingers moving fast with like playing lots of notes or playing really fast. I just mean this. Now snap that finger off. As soon as you snap it off, you get a good, strong articulation. And because we're not using power, we're using speed, but not power, your finger is not likely to fatigue for a very long time. You can keep a pretty fast speed for a very long time because power is what fatigues you more than speed itself. So Speed gives you the good articulation, speed gives you speed, and speed gives you additional endurance when it's not combined with power. If you want some additional tips on the right way to practice legato on the guitar, beyond what I'm showing you here right now, check out my other video on YouTube called The Right Way to Practice Legato on the Guitar. All right, for this next exercise, let's play something like this. Okay, so we're just playing 2 notes on the B string. Then we're playing 3 notes on the E string. Now we're going to descend and play that note and then start over. Now what we want to do here, obviously we're not playing legato yet. We're not using the legato yet. We're picking everything. And the reason why we're doing that again is we want to memorize, we want to have it fresh in our ear what articulation should sound like, or what is the goal for articulation once we get to the legato part. So we pick everything so that you have it fresh in your ear. Oh, that's the articulation that we're going for. That's the goal. Now your legato is not actually going to be quite that strong in terms of articulation, but that's what we're shooting for. That's the goal that we're after. So now let's play that lick with some legato. So I'm going to do a hammer on here. So I've started with a downstroke, hammer on, then another downstroke to get to the high E string. Then I'm going to play an upstroke, and then from here it's all legato. Okay, and then we go back to the string 2 with an upstroke. Then we start the pattern over again. So we got downstroke, hammer on, downstroke again. So we got a little sweep there. Then up. Now all legato here. And hit that with an upstroke. So that's where we're at. So for now, don't worry about trying to play it fast. The speed is not important at this stage. What is important is that we try to match the articulation as good as we can with the picking version. So just focus on getting the sound, the strong articulated sound. When you think you've got it pretty close, here's the picking version, here's your legato version. When the articulation is almost matching, you've got it. You're awesome. Then, at that point, then you start working on the speed. But if you start working on the speed first and you don't have the articulation together, even if you get yourself to play it faster and faster, who cares? It doesn't sound good, right? And the articulation is weak, and that's probably not what you want. Here's the goal. You want to have the ability to have strong articulation when playing legato. Now, when you're playing a song or a solo, you might choose not to go after that sound. That's okay. You don't always have to play guitar with strong articulation or strong articulation with legato. You can choose to do something else. That's perfectly okay. That's totally cool. But if you cannot play legato with the strong articulation and it's kind of weak, you're not choosing anything. You're only able to do it weakly by default. There's no choice involved. I want you to have the choice so that then you can later decide, do I want to do it with strong articulation or do I want to do it with softer articulation? Because when you get to choose that, you open up so many doors creatively, it's beautiful. All right, secret number 6, how to build legato endurance so your fingers don't fatigue. Okay, I'm going to show you kind of a little shortcut. It's not exactly a shortcut, but it will help you to get some good speed, some good articulation, and to build that without fatiguing. So it'll also help you with some endurance once you push the tempo higher and higher, okay? And what we're going to do is something called sweep legato, okay? So as you see in the example, we've got a downstroke, then a hammer on, and then we've got another downstroke on the high E string for the 3rd note. So if we just take a look at those first 3 notes, it looks like I'm doing a downstroke, then my pick has to wait until the hammer-on occurs, and then we do another downstroke. That's what it looks like on the screen, but that's actually not what's happening. What's happening is I'm doing a downstroke, then the pick continues traveling from string 2 towards string 1 while the hammer-on is occurring. The pick does not stop. That's critical. Don't let the pick stop. So when you do this, you got a downstroke. The hammer-on is going to be occurring, but the pick continues moving in the direction of the first string. The pick will, after you articulate string 2, you're going to pick string 2. The pick's going to slow down, but we don't want it to stop ever for this. Why? Because when the pick stops, you lose all the momentum. And we don't want the momentum to be lost, because once you lose the momentum, you've got to then restart it again. It's like if you were driving your car, you're going down the road, and you come to a complete stop. Well, now the car's lost all momentum. Now you've got to put on a lot of effort, put your foot on the accelerator to get it going again. But if you're in a race, let's say, and you've got to slow down to go around a curve, you don't want to slam on the brakes and stop, right? You want to just take your foot off the gas, let the car kind of coast through the curve, slow down some, and then put your foot back on the accelerator so that you're not having to start from 0 miles per hour or 0 kilometers per hour. Same thing with sweep legato here. So downstroke, hammer on, the pick continues to move. Okay, so it's like this. It's really hard for me to show you in playing this slow. As you play faster, it actually gets easier. Just watch this hand. It doesn't stop. Let me show you what it looks like if I do stop. Now it's totally stopped, right? That's not what we want. Down, stop, wait, start again. We don't want that. We want this. Okay, so it's true sweep. Then when we get to the top, we got a upstroke on the A note up here. So upstroke, then there's a pull off, and then an upstroke here. So it's the same principle. When you do the upstroke, we don't want the pick to lose its momentum. You do up, pull off, but the pick continues going in that direction, continues. No stopping, not allowed. You can just practice those 3 notes. The pick slows down, but it doesn't stop. So when you put it all together, you've got this. Ignore what I'm doing over here. Just watch this hand. It's just continuing, right? The pick is not starting and stopping, starting and stopping. It's just sweeping through, sweeping back, sweeping down, sweeping up. And then we got the hammer on here and the pull off here. So it's a hybrid between sweep picking and legato. Okay, that's really what it is. It's cool. It sounds cool. It feels good to play. And you help to develop. You got some legato in there, but you won't get fatigued because we're not doing legato with everything. So it's a way to train legato. It'll help you with endurance as you go faster and faster and go longer and longer and longer. You're still doing legato. It's just that the fretting hand gets a little bit of a break from doing the legato motions because not every note is legato. Secret 7. What to do when you feel stuck. Whenever you feel stuck, like you're not making the progress that you're looking for, you're not getting the endurance, you're not getting the speed, it just doesn't seem to flow or anything like that, here's what I suggest for you to do. Rotate what you focus on, what you think about, what you're doing between different elements of legato. So sometimes you'll practice legato and you'll focus just on the articulation of the legato. Don't worry about how fast it is or how much endurance you have. Just focus on articulation and that's it. And the only goal for those 2 or 3 minutes is just the articulation, getting that as strong as you can. Then you might rotate to just working on the snap motions. So you can play really slow, but once the fingers decide that it's time to move, or once you decide it's time to move those fingers, snap the fingers. Move quickly. So again, we're not talking about playing fast tempo. We're not talking about 30-second notes at 200 beats per minute. We're just talking about playing slow. But when the fingers move, they snap off that string on those pull-offs, or they snap on for a hammer-on. So you can focus on that for a couple of minutes. Then you can focus on just being accurate. Don't worry about the articulation. Don't worry about the speed. Don't worry about anything. Just the accuracy of hammer-ons and pull-offs, making sure your fingers are going in the right spot. So you can focus on that. Then you can shift your focus to just raw speed. Forget everything else. Forget articulation. Forget it all. Just shred. Just rip for a couple, 2-3 minutes. Okay? Then you go back and you can focus on muting. Muting, which we haven't yet talked about, muting the other strings you're not playing. So when I mute the strings, I use my thumb and the picking hand to mute all the lower strings. It just rests there while holding the pick. And I use my middle finger or these two fingers to mute whatever string is higher, to keep the guitar quiet when doing legato. And then the final element here to focus on is endurance. You can ignore everything else. Don't worry about the speed. Don't worry about the articulation, how fast it is, accurate. Don't worry about nothing. Just focus on pushing the endurance. There's a reason why this is last in the list. But you can rotate between those elements so that each of those elements is increasing gradually over time. Then later you can start putting them together, combining them as you practice. But in the beginning, just keep them separate. Now, if you have questions or if you have requests for future videos that you'd like me to make on YouTube, I read every single comment on a YouTube video, literally every single one. Okay, good, bad, crazy, goofy, doesn't matter. I read them all. And I've made many videos based upon requests that you guys have asked for topics you wanted me to make videos on. So if you have a request, leave it in the comments. I'm glad to read it and make new videos for you. So today we've been talking a lot about legato. But what about the rest of your fretting hand, speed, dexterity, endurance, coordination? If you want to build more guitar speed with your fretting hand, you're going to love my new free e-guide called Mastering Fretting Hand Finger Independence for Guitar Players. It's totally free, no strings attached. I think you're going to love this stuff. So click on the link below to download your copy right now.